they say that they sent angels down to earth to guide us on our journey. And I said, I think Lemmy may have been sent down. Listen to these people talking. Everybody has a story where Lemmy affected their life, changed their life, helped them along the way.
And you mentioned Motorhead there. I mean, they're obviously huge here in the UK. And Lemmy, he spoke really highly of you guys because you did tour with him. You played with him a few times. What was it like being around Lemmy then? Because obviously he's a larger than life character himself, wasn't he?
Lemmy, I'm getting chills, all right now, because Lemmy, when I think about Lemmy, because my wife has planted something in my head, which is insane, and we'll talk about it. But Lemmy became our savior. We got on a bill at the Wrexham football stadium with Budgie and Tank and a whole bunch of other signed bands, metal bands. Football stadium show it's like our first performance in the UK. Wow. And because of a cancellation, a relationship my manager had with Motorhead's manager, we wound up special guesting. And we were going to go out on stage for the first time in daylight. And this is 1981, 82. I'm somewhere around there. So, the legends of Canville, Anvil being canned off the stage and bottled off the stage at Reading, of Girl being bottled off the stage. Remember Girl because they wore little makeup. This stuff was led for the slightest just idea that any femininity at all. I think Lips from Anvil wore a fishnet sleevelet and played with a dildo, and that was it. Too gay. That's it. We're bottling you off the stage. So now we're walking out in the daylight for the first time. There was actual conversation, not from me, but from my bandmates, about not putting on our costumes and makeup. I mean, our first song was called What You Don't Know Sure Can Hurt You, and I wrote it to be performed in silhouette so the audience couldn't see us. So they would hear us first, and then a third of the way through the song, the lights would come on and go, and this is what we look like. And people go, oh, I didn't expect that. But they were already taken in by the band. Now we were going to walk out in broad daylight. And you'll see, if you can see pictures from that day, Mark the Animal Mendoza with his denim vest over the top of his stage costume, sunglasses on, covering up his eye makeup. But I just look, I've had so many fights. I've been wearing, if I was going to take this stuff off, it would have been a long time ago. Lemmy, who I always said recognized the smell of human feces as he walked past because we were shitting our pants. He came in, and this is partially thanks to the late Pete Way, late Lemmy Kilmister. Pete was producing Under the Blade, which hadn't been released yet. And Pete put a call into Lemmy, who was a mate, and said, hey, man, these are good guys. Take care of them. So, I think besides sort of sensing that we were terrified to go on before Motorhead, because that was a pretty tough crowd. And Lemmy came in, and I was told, he said, because at that time I didn't speak Lemmy, I just heard, and then someone came in. He said, Jill Massey, she worked with his management. He said, he'll bring the band on. The headliner offering an unknown band to come out before his show. I wouldn't be seen. I'd be like, that's and here arrives the stars of the show. Lemmy, and when we walked out on the stage, I'm telling you, you saw the bottles, you saw the cans, you saw the arms. It would go back like this, and then Lemmy walks out. And then again, he said something in the microphone, which I was told later was, here's a present live from America. Give him a listen. And everybody just went lowered it a little bit, and they just stood there, and we just went for it. And within minutes, people said, whoa, these Yanks are insane and crazy, and whatever they look like, this is amazing. And at the end of that show, one of the most memorable ovations of my career, as we sat in the locker room of the football stadium 10 minutes after we'd gone off, and we hear, and my road manager comes in and goes, listen, and because we're all talking and we're all energized, listen, and you could hear the stadium going, twisted, sister, twisted, 10 minutes after we're off the stage. So we're like, whoa. And then Lemmy walked in and said, I brought you on. You bring Motorhead out to me.
Wow.
So, again, I'm this punter from the States. And now I walk out to introduce I'm getting chills. It was such a moment. And of course, I immediately went to the side of the stage and just headbanging for the whole. Then he dedicated America to me. I was like, I don't want to just keep headbanging. But the thing I was say about Lemmy just started showing up at gigs, announced, sometimes unannounced. He'd come through the front door of the Marquee Club, and he'd walk in and come in the back room. Let us get down. He'd bring us on. He'd get up and jam with us spontaneously. And this generosity on his part, like, paved the way for us for acceptance. You go to the Reading Festival, where he rejoined Fast Eddie Clark. They were having a heated public press battle over the breakup of Fast Eddie leaving Motorhead. And he comes on stage and joins Fast Eddie and Pete Way and Twisted Sister for the finale of It's Only Rock and Roll, But I Like It at Reading, and helps to just cement our relationship with the UK. So I know I'm rambling on, but this is what your people want to hear. So we're at the memorial, and I'm sitting with my wife, and everybody was at the Lemmy Memorial. I say everybody in the, Ozzy was there, and Slash and Duff were there, and Foo Fighters were there. And I mean, it goes on and on. But beyond that, his shoemaker was there, Pascal Cooper, a family that followed him around Europe, and Lemmy would always invite them backstage because they followed him everywhere. They were there, and they all got up and spoke. And my wife is very spiritual, and she leans over to me and says, I think Lemmy was an angel. I said, what? She goes, they say that they sent angels down to earth to guide us on our journey. And I said, I think Lemmy may have been sent down. Listen to these people talking. Everybody has a story where Lemmy affected their life, changed their life, helped them along the way. Every single one of these people is getting Triple H for the wrestler. Everybody's getting up there, and everybody's got a tale to tell about how Lemmy touched their lives. And I said, so you're telling me that God sent down a biker pirate to guide me on my way? And she said to me, would you have listened to someone with long flowing robes? And I just looked at her, and then I listened to the stories people saying. So I'm not the spiritual guy, but that was Lemmy for Twisted Sister. And when I think back on it, he was so there because we had the Under the Blade record. We lost the deal, and he stayed with us. When we did the Tube, him and Robbo came up and jammed with us on national TV, again, helping make it one of those moments. And that's when we got our Atlantic record deal. He was always there when we needed him. And he and I remained friends, for his entire life. And I'm honored to have been one.
Oh, incredible stories. It's such a legend. It's lovely to hear these sorts of things said about him as well. Just quickly, one more thing relating to the UK, and you touched on a big show there with Budgie and things like that, and Motorhead. But you did Monsters of Rock, didn't you, 1983? And again, what an incredible lineup: Whitesnake and Meatloaf and ZZ Top and Dio and Diamond Head. That's a hell of a lineup. I remember speaking to Stephen Pearcy from Rat, and he said that they had a pig's head thrown up on stage when they did their show one year. I mean, what do you remember of your experience with Donington?
I remember I have many memories. Well, first of all, at Reading, we were getting bottled off the stage. We were getting bottled, not off the stage. And I stopped the show and famously called out, and that's a term for meaning invited to fight, 35,000 people, one at a time on the side of the stage. And the people just started laughing because they were laughing because this Yank's crazy. Because they could see I was serious. One at a time, line up, let's go. Stop throwing. And at that point, they sort of, said, well, you know what? Let's give these guys a chance. And then, we rocked out, of course. And then Lemmy and Pete Way and Fast Eddie came on stage. Sadly, they're all gone now, those three guys, And we had a moment. So when we got to Donington and we went out on stage, now we have a hit record in the UK. Yeah. I Am On Me, Kids Are Back. We've got a hit album. So the audience, the majority of the 45,000 people there are really into us. I would say maybe 10% aren't into the band. You know what? 4,500 people can throw a lot of stuff. And those 4,500 people started throwing everything they could get their hands on. So I tried the same stage rap. All right, side stage. But then everybody had heard that one already. So they were like, and they just kept throwing stuff. So I ultimately, invited our fans, the other 35,000 people. I said, where are my friends? And the place, those 35,000 people, hands in the air. I said, well, if my friend was on stage and someone was throwing stuff at him, I would kick the shit out of them. And if it was too big for me, I'd get a whole bunch of us and we'd pull that guy down and start beating the piss out of him. Well, the next song was like, it was like Altamont out there. I remember fires. I remember just fights all over the place as we're like ripping, I don't tear it loose, whatever we were doing appropriately. And yeah, so that was a moment. And we, they stopped throwing things.